Hello and welcome to my review of the second week from the English Premier League. What a week it has been. 10 fantastic games, lots of transfer talk, so let's get straight into things. The first game at Craven Cottage was Fulham versus Arsenal. The final score was Fulham 1, Arsenal 3. The team lineups will be on the screen for you guys right now. Basically, from the very start, Arsenal dominated the possession. However, it was very slow, very lethargic, like sometimes Arsenal do play. Fulham were very combative, dominated in the counter-attacking game. They had a few chances. However, once Giroud scored the first goal, which was supreme centre forward play, Arsenal just looked in control of the game. Fulham did up the pressure. They wanted, obviously, to get a goal back. However, this opened the game up. Their midfield was exposed, and their defensive line was exposed. And this led to a goal from Lucas Podolski 4 minutes from the half. After halftime, Martial must have said some strong words to his team as Fulham started the second half really attacking mindset, pressuring the Arsenal midfield and forward line, and they were very dangerous on the counter-attack. However, again, this opened up the pitch for Arsenal to counter the counter-attack, and Podolski scored his second goal, leading to his brace. In the end, Fulham did get a goal back through Darren Bent, but it was a little too late, and Arsenal won the game after a good week for the Gunners. The next game was at the KC Stadium, Hull City versus Norwich. Hull City 1, Norwich City 0. Hull City, they played really, it was a very team-orientated game. Their spirit was high, and it was a great united effort. They went down to 10 men and had an hour of game time left, and Steve Bruce really got that team playing well, and they got the 3 points through Robbie Brady, I believe it was, who scored from the penalty spot after Norwich defender pushed the Hull City striker down. For Hull City, the red card was for Sagbo as he attempted to headbutt Russell Martin and got sent off, and Hull just really parked the bus with 10 men, 1 goal up, and Norwich dominated the possession as you would. Couldn't find an equaliser though, and that was due to the awesome resilient team spirit and the crowd factor from Hull City, and they got the 3 points. The next game was Everton versus West Albion Bromwich, and unfortunately, again for Everton, another draw. At home, they dominated the possession, and they really tried going for the win in front of their home fans. However, there was really no chances from either side, and if there was any chances created, both of the goalkeepers, Foster and Tim Howard, looked relatively okay, and they made a good couple of saves. As Everton tried to press on for the win, West Albion Bromwich looked dangerous on the counter-attack, but both teams really deserved the points, and a 0-0 draw was a fair result in my opinion. Again, the next game is at the St James's Park, Newcastle vs West Ham. Troubling times for Newcastle. They couldn't get a win again. And did you guys see the Gouffron miss right in front of goal? That was almost as bad as Juvino for Arsenal. They couldn't get the winning goal, and again they got a draw. West Ham had some excellent chances. They couldn't convert either. And both teams were really dismal in front of goal. Couldn't convert their little slight opportunities that they had. And that's worrying for Newcastle because they haven't got a single point. Oh, they got a point, but only after losing last week to Manchester City. And West Ham looked okay. Probably need to go back to what they did last week to win again in the third week. The next game was at St Mary's, and that was with Southampton and Sunderland. Sunderland, very unlucky last week. 3 minutes in, get the goal. Well done. They were on a high. It was very poor communication for Southampton and very bad marking, and I'll talk about that in another game. And after that, the Saints, they dominated the game as Sunderland tried to rest on their laurels, and the Saints had a lot of chances, and they eventually scored through Jose Fonte in the 88th minute, gifting their team a point, and the game ended 1-1. We're halfway through the fixtures. This next game was the Britannia, featuring Stoke City and Crystal Palace. Now, both teams last week lost, and my prediction was all wrong, and the game ended up being Stoke 2, Crystal Palace 1. Can you guys believe it? Marouane Chamakh scored for Crystal Palace, and it was quite a good strike. Stoke, however, looked hungrier throughout the match, obviously being at home, and they got 2 goals in under 5 minutes, and it was a good solid win for Stoke, and I think it'll relieve the pressure off Mark Hughes and off the team, and now they can actually kickstart their season. The next game was at Villa Park, Aston Villa versus Liverpool. In my preview, I said that Aston Villa would absolutely dominate and smash Liverpool. How wrong was I? Liverpool ended up winning 1-0. It was a fantastic goal to Daniel Sturridge. He showed great composure, great class. I think that's why Liverpool took him off Chelsea, because they saw this potential in a young English striker who says this great run of form is due to him wanting to play for England in the World Cup, and I can see why he possibly will get the chance. Aston Villa, though, their front three of Benteke, Weidman, and Bonahor, they look dangerous and didn't really have threatened Liverpool that much. But against other teams on the counter-attack, those three will be phenomenal force for Villa going forward. And Liverpool, what can I say? Great start, 2 games, 2 wins, 2 clean sheets, and 6 points in 2 games, which is very good. Now, probably the biggest surprise of this week, Cardiff versus Manchester City, finished off being Cardiff 3, Manchester City 2. This was by far the best game of this round, and it really shows that David, in actual fact, can beat the big spending Goliath. Cardiff started the game with a great intensity, pressured Man City, didn't let them get on the ball too much, and eventually Man City's class did shine through with Eden Dzeko smashing an absolute fantastic strike, putting City up 1-0. Cardiff responded, their fans responded, decided to get their team back into the game, and once they did, and they went 2-1 and then eventually 3-1 up due to the poor defence of Zabaleta, Javi Garcia, who should never have played centre-back, and Joe Hart, City just looked dejected and fightless and didn't show any spirit, any courage, because I think they kind of knew that away from home in Wales that they weren't going to get a win. In the late stages, Elva Negredo did get a goal back for City, but again, it was too little too late, and Cardiff most definitely deserved to win, and they looked the stronger team against 2 seasons ago, the former champions. The second last game was at White Hart Lane, featuring Tottenham and Swansea. Not the most entertaining game. There was a bit of controversy between Jonjo Shelvey and I believe it was Andreas Townsend. The first time, if you guys have seen it, the first time they clashed, the ref awarded a free kick. Instead, that should have been a penalty. And the second time the ref awarded a penalty, and it shouldn't have been anything because Townsend took a dive and Shelvey was trying to back off. In the end, a penalty was awarded when it shouldn't have been, but overall it did, because what I just said before is very confusing. Soldado steps up, as Soldado does, bangs it in. Tottenham finished the game 1-0. Basically, the game was really overshadowed by Gareth Bale. Over in the next couple of days, I think his move to Real Madrid will be completed, and really, I think that's what all the fans had on their mind. But for them, it would be glad for 90 minutes to take their minds off the saga and see their team go 1-0 right before next week, the big North London derby. We'll talk about that next week. And finally, the last game at Old Trafford finished off Manchester United 0, Chelsea 0. So if you had to listen to my predictions in my last video, I would have sounded like a complete idiot, because I said this game would be very high scoring, watch out for both attacks, and it was completely the opposite. Watch out for both defenses, because they looked very solid. It was really whose defense would not make any mistakes, and it was both of them. Didn't help that Chelsea were playing this false 9 formation with Eden Hazard up front and no recognised centre forward. I think Mourinho may have been trying to play a bit of games with Wayne Rooney there, but it was a very quiet game, and really not what a Manchester United-Chelsea game should be like. I think, again, like the previous game, this game was overshadowed by Wayne Rooney, and just recently, in the past couple of hours, I read that Moyes has given Rooney an ultimatum to choose in the next 24 to 48 hours whether or not he wants to stay or go, and I think that's Mourinho was trying to play a bit of fun and games with him there. Anyway, as you can see on the screen now, there'll be the ladder after the second week of the Barclays Premier League. I hope you guys enjoyed all the fixtures like I did, and I'll see you guys in the next video previewing the next week from the English Premier League. Thank you, and goodbye.